when I let the bow off, I hear like a slap, and I didn't know what happened, but looking back on it now, I realized that when I had leaned to the right, I leaned into that cedar tree and actually put a limb across my arrow. So it was out of my line of sight and out of my peep, but where my arrow came off my rest, there was a cedar limb. So as soon as that arrow came off the bow, it hit that cedar limb and goes over his back. So I missed this deer at 15 yards. Keep in mind that that day we had bedded that buck, but we'd also bedded another buck that was on up the draw a little ways. And as I'm working down through there, I'm looking for him, and I get almost to the edge, and actually pretty much to the edge where I can see the majority of it. And there's a bend in the creek, and I'm like, well, he must be behind that bend right there, just 20 or 30 yards over to my right. As I'm looking at that, all of a sudden I hear a commotion below me, and this buck had bedded. I mean, he was probably 5 feet from me. I could have, if I would have just stepped forward and jumped off the ledge, I would have landed on him. He was literally directly underneath me. Well, we just packed up from Trey's at Sand River, and we are headed 2 hours northwest to Oshkosh to meet up with Miles. Hopefully we can break this streak. I have had the best week of hunting and the worst week of hunting. I don't know, we got on 3 different deer this week that were absolutely hammers. Double main beam buck, a drop tine mule deer, a giant typical 4x4, and just couldn't get it done. There was always this X factor that happened in all of them that ended up making it a crazy time to when the shot happened, and we had to guess yardage quick or hit a cedar limb, or I mean, just the worst case scenario always happened, it seemed like. So that's how this stuff goes. You can't win all of them, but it was fun. It was really cool to be within 100 yards of really 4 giant mule deer throughout the week, and even though it didn't work out, we got to experience what the stalk was and what the hunt was. So gotta just move forward. It's like losing the game in a sport. You just gotta put it behind you and go on. So we're starting fresh tomorrow. Actually, probably tonight. We'll probably scout a little bit tonight and get everything going, and hopefully be on a deer or an antelope or something tomorrow we can put down and redeem ourselves. So we're heading out to a blind tonight, and you can kind of see we got to take this road along these canyons, but this is where the deer are staying right now, is in these big canyons over my shoulder, and it just turns into there's no ag, there's no other food that direction at all for these deer. We're hunting kind of the farthest north, I guess, pivot that there is to that canyon ground. So we're gonna get in here. It's a little early. We got about 2.5 hours before sunset, and that's usually when they've been showing up. So we're gonna slide up here and check out our wind situation. Maybe have to move the blind, but I think we'll give this a whirl, and if it doesn't work, then we'll go down in the canyon tomorrow and try to cut them off before they get up here if they're going to be late. But we'll see what happens. We're going to drop Josh off with all the gear. I'm going to go hide the truck, I guess. Good. We've got
brutal. We've got like a 25-yard shot to the round bales, so we kind of got them pinched down if they come through this this pinch to go back into the canyons. But we've also got a water hole out here about 55 yards that it's just been so much rain this year that there's standing water in the field in this corner. So hopefully, we watched it last night, and some of the deer came to that water hole. Like pretty much every deer that came onto the alfalfa came all the way over just for water and then went all the way back. So if he makes it through this pinch on us, I think he'll stop at that water. Or if he comes anywhere else in here, they'll probably go to that water. So we're gonna sit it out. We got a good wind. It's a little edgy, but we got those onyx up, so we're gonna get it fired up and settle in here and see what shows up.
So next day rolls around. We drive around a little bit in the morning, try to scout, but really everything is back in bed before it even gets daylight. So see some deer out, but not a lot. Head back to camp, shoot the bow again, get stuff ready to go. We head out to the blind about an hour and a half before we really needed to be there, but we wanted to get everything set up and be ready for when these deer showed up. So about sunset, about the time deer usually show up, that time of the year, about sunset, we noticed that the bachelor group had entered the field. Now they entered the pivot in a completely different spot than where they'd entered it the night before. So they were kind of down in a bowl, and we weren't able to get a lot of footage of them where they first came out. We could just kind of see the tops of them, and I'm kind of looking through them. What I didn't know at the time is that the water pivot for that alfalfa field had a leak, and it had a wet spot out in the middle of the field where there was a puddle of water. And that wet spot was probably 50 yards from where the blind was set up. We didn't even know it was there, but all of a sudden I kind of noticed that the deer start filtering over and they start hitting that water. So it was a perfect setup for us. So when the bow went off, I knew something had happened. I saw I had really weird arrow flight, and it made a weird sound, and I'm thinking in my brain, I'm having flashbacks to last week where I hit a cedar limb, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? But I saw the impact on the deer, and I saw blood instantly, and a lot of it. So I knew that we had hit an artery. At some point, you just don't hit a deer and see that much blood that quickly. So I thought we were going to be okay. You know, the shot was forward, obviously, in front of the shoulder, and we were kind of worried about it. But I look at the blind, and I'd actually shot through the corner of the blind. So that deer, as he had worked by us, had worked through my window, and you know, as a blind works, it gets narrower in the corner. The bottom of the blind had come up and almost done exactly what I did with the cedar limb, where it was out of my line of sight. Sight was clean, everything was good through the peep, but the actual arrow flight actually hit through the blind. So that arrow had gone through the blind completely through two flaps because it was laid over. So it went through the blind completely and still traveled 30 yards, stuck into that deer all the way into his opposite shoulder, and caused a lot of damage.
All right, so we got that guy done. Had to pull some more light, but it's our first night here at Square Shot Outfitters. So we watched the book last night. We still have a bunch of deer out here right now. The whole group came over, so really excited. We're gonna give him some time. I ended up hitting the blind strap when it went off, but we'll give him some time, and then we'll see if we can't get him found. Alright, so we got a blind, waited till dark. Miles is pulling up. We're gonna go look at the arrow till the morning just because of where the shot was, but look at the arrow, let's go back home, eat dinner, look at everything, and then figure it out. Let's at least check this arrow out and see what happens. But there's blood freaking everywhere. I have another arrow to see. Barely that much. Right there at the impact. Right here. We almost made it. Alright, so we got this guy recovered. He didn't go very far at all, but man, our first night here, Miles and I have a pretty good record of 5 for 5, and taking 2 8s that were older, and then taking 3 of the biggest deer I've ever killed out here. It's just an unbelievable hunt. But we came out early, which is always hard, especially when they've gone hard within the week. And Miles had a good setup though. He's got some alfalfa pivots, and the deer are bedding in the canyons. We watched this buck last night with another deer, and we knew we'd go in there and just get kind of a good eye on both of them and see which one we wanted to kill. And this deer was definitely the older deer by far than the 10. So got him done. We're gonna get him back to the lodge here and get him hung up. Can't say enough though. I mean, we got away with one there. It's, you know, you have some bad luck and you have some good luck, and we had some good luck tonight. I hit the blind with the arrow and ended up pushing it forward, but the SWAT broadhead did exactly what you want a broadhead to do, which is just make up for your mistakes, and played a giant hole in the front there, and he bled all the way, ran to his death at 150 yards. So awesome. I really have got to put it to all the thanks to the SWAT broadhead, because it did its job for sure. But we're gonna get him out here, get him tagged up, get him skinned out, and get him in the cooler.
So it has a lot to say about, you know, this new SWAT hybrid that I've been shooting this year was really put to the test. I mean, the thing went through 2 flaps of a blind, still traveled 30 yards, went through the whole deer essentially, and stuck in the opposite side shoulder, still caused great damage and a ton of blood. And you know, for me, when I look at a broadhead, I really want a broadhead that will kind of make up for my mistakes, because I make a lot of them. And I need a broadhead that's gonna kind of try to fix those, and that's 100% what it did there. Square shot, like we talked about before, it's just an unreal place. 5 for 5 with not hunting more than 3 days. Miles knows his stuff, puts you on the animals, puts you in the right spot, and that's really all you can ask for as an outfitter. But it's a place that, man, I love to go back. One of my favorite places in Nebraska, and a place that I hope to continue to go back to for many years.